Hi, I'm Wendy from The Broken Needle, and today I'm going to show you how to make the Ohio Star Quilt. So let's get started. First we need a white square and a black square, and we're going to place them right sides together. Next I'm using the Quilter's Magic Wand, and I want to make a mark from corner to corner on both sides of the magic wand. That'll give me 2 lines, one on each side. Sew directly on the line. Now sew on the second line. Now we cut in half, corner to corner. And now we have 2 half-square triangles. Set our seam, press towards the dark, use some best press, and press. Take 2 half-square triangles, place them right sides together, and nest the seams. Place a pin in the center, in the seam, and out the other seam. Again, use the magic wand and draw lines on both sides of the magic wand from corner to corner. Sew on one line and then sew on the other line. As before, cut corner to corner. Press, and in the intersection we have some bulk. In order to reduce that, we're going to press the seams in opposite directions. You'll notice what looks like a little quilt block in the center. That means you're doing it correctly. Again, press the seams in opposite directions and you should get a little quilt block in the center. Now we have 2 hourglass blocks, and press. To trim the hourglass blocks, we're going to use the 4.5-inch Creative Grids ruler, use the diagonal line on our diagonal seams, and there's a bullseye in the center to help align the block. This center mark, or bullseye as I like to call it, is extra helpful. I'm also using the Creative Grids rotating mat to trim. Cut one side, rotate, cut, rotate, cut, and ta-da! Beautiful hourglass block. Let's do it again. Bullseye, diagonal alignment, cut, rotate, cut, rotate, cut, and done. Arrange your blocks into rows. Make sure to press your rows in opposite directions. We're going to pin and nest right here. Place the first row and the second row right sides together. Make sure to nest your seams. Use a pin to place in the stitches on the front and out the back side. Using a 1/4 inch seam, sew your rows together. Now place the first 2 rows on top of the bottom row, right sides together, and pin in place, nesting your seams. Use a 1/4 inch seam and sew the last row to the block. And now we have an Ohio Star Quilt block. With all the intersecting seams, we want to reduce the bulk by again pressing the seams in opposite directions as we did before. When done properly, again, you should get something that looks like a little quilt block right in the center like this. Press your seams, and as you'll see, all of the intersections are laying nice and flat. Adding sashing, alternate the colors of your blocks. Place your sashing right side down on top of the first block. Using a 1/4 inch seam, sew your sashing to the right side of the block. Working a little bit faster, I'm going to chain piece my blocks to my sashing. Now trim the sashing even with the block on each side of the block. Next, lay your blocks and sashing out into rows and get ready to sew. Using a 1/4 inch seam, sew your star blocks and your sashing together into complete rows. Now we're going to make the sashing that includes cornerstones. You'll need 2½ inch squares of the black and 2½ inch squares of red. You'll also need a 2½ inch by 12½ inch strip. Now sew a 2½ inch square to a 12½ inch strip. Next, sew a 2½ inch square of the opposite color to the opposite side of the 12½ inch strip. Continue this process until you have a cornerstone sashing the width of your quilt. Sew the cornerstone sashing between the blocks. Make sure to pin and nest the 2½ inch blocks with the sashing between the star blocks. Using a 1/4 inch seam, sew a cornerstone row of sashing to an Ohio Star block row. Continue sewing alternating Ohio Star block rows with cornerstone sashing rows. Ta-da! Ohio Star quilt complete. Ta-da! Whatever it's called.